What's up, y'all? This is Carla, aka Sela the Poet. I'm on an insomniac night again. So whenever I can't sleep, it seems is when I get my most creative inspirations, like late night. Anyway, tonight I'm just gonna do a brief talking about the revolution and about race. I'm gonna read to you another one of my writings and my excerpts. And it just kind of outlines what's been in my thoughts lately. All right, so the revolution is beginning during a pandemic. The black community is fed up with having a target on their back or a racist white officer's foot on their necks. Our people being killed like animals by these corrupt cops. And then we have gang members and gang warfare in the community and people of our own community killing each other. It's like a catch-22. I love my blackness, and by extension, I care about the members of my own community, the social problems and issues that plague it. I make it my business to educate myself about Africa and the black community, black history, and black culture. I want to see my people prosper, progress, and improve so we can become more unified, move forward, and resist racism, white supremacy, and oppression. So, it's deep how this pandemic, kind of spurred on the revolution. But when you think about it, it makes sense because, if you have so much mortality and so much death, and you have just so many desperate circumstances, people are going to get to the end of their ropes. And when they've lost so much and people have nothing left to lose, this is how a revolution can start. When things have been wrong for so long, something's got to give, something's got to change. I just want to briefly talk about racial identity and race. So we know the history of race. We know why it came about. We know that race is a social construct. In the United States, it was basically created, by the powers that be, or the Europeans, to basically, categorize people, put people in categories so that, to maintain a system of white supremacy. So, in the United States, you have the one drop rule where one drop of African, blood makes you black. That system is still pretty much the same, but it's changing. I know that on certain censuses now, they have the multiracial category or the other category, and people can identify as, mixed or whatever. So, it looks like we're kind of making progress, but, for purposes of my culture and my experience, I identify as a black woman. I'm an Afro-Latina, by culture and by heritage, but because of my experience and because of my phenotype and because of, my lifestyle, I identify as a black woman. I just feel very much more connected with those roots. No disrespect, to my Latina, my Puerto Rican side, but growing up, I was embraced fully by the black community. I never had any issues. Most of my boyfriends were black growing up. All of them, matter of fact, were black growing up. I never even dated a Latin guy. So like I said, I identify as black, but culturally and heritage-wise, I am an Afro-Latina woman. On one side of my family, my father's side of the family is Afro-Puerto Rican, and on my mother's side of the family, she is a multi-generational mixed Jamaican woman. So I have kind of like the best of both worlds. You know, I have my West Indian side and then I have my Boricua side. And, you know, growing up, I got a taste of two cultures, two different types of food, both types of music. And, you know, I think tonight it's fitting for me to kind of do just a poem, you know, that kind of describes a little bit about my racial experience, my cultural experience. So this poem doesn't have a title, it's quick, and I'm going to share it. Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, la bandera puertorriqueña. I pledge allegiance to the flag years after the gag law was repealed in 1957. I'm sorry, years after the gag law was repealed of 1948, when it was against the law to own a Puerto Rican flag. Yet, I'm a question mark and a mystery to some that share the same ancestral lands. My hips sway to the beat when I listen to Africando's Ya Boy, and I feel the Africando African rhythms touching my soul while the drummers play during bomba. From the barrio to the hood and the projects, I feel a familiar feeling. Poverty, mi cultura, and discrimination. Yet it's the place I call home. Inward, I deal with my own grita de lares. Screaming, I'm a Boricua, despite this dark skin I'm in. But my identity is always questioned, challenged by those with a conquistador state of mind. Déjame en paz, blanquita racista. Somos de la misma gente. Yo soy Afro-Latina Boricua. The negrita with ancestors from Carolina and Tuabaja. Visited cities from Aguadilla to Bayamón. Listened to the likes of Tito Puente to Tego Calderón. Africanas, Latino, Taino. Our ancestors went through the same enslavement and torture and racism. So who are you to look down your nose at me? You better believe I'm a black Boricua and I'm proud. So that poem just kind of spoke about my frustration that I get. You know, when you look at me, I don't look like a typical Puerto Rican, you know? I look black, and there's nothing wrong with that because I am black. I took a DNA ethnology test, and according to that test, I am 66.7% African, 25.7% European, 5.5% Asian, and 2.1% Native American. So I have all of these different cultures, you know, in me. And it's like they all build the bridge in me. You know, generations of people, you know, hardworking. I have slaves and, you know, just people that were involved in the resistance against oppression. You know, those are the people in my bloodline, you know, and I identify more with my blackness because after all, look at me, look at my skin, look at my hair, you know, look at my experience. You know, I have Africa imprinted all over me. You know, even though I found out that I have 25.7% European, I don't really identify with that. You know what I'm saying? To me, that part of me comes from, you know, slavery and colonization. I don't think that that's anything for me to be proud of. I'm not denying that it's in my bloodline, but I don't big that up or identify with that because I don't know that. I'm not seen like that. You know, so there are some Puerto Ricans, there's some Latinos that can identify with that. They really, really go hard, you know, for their European and Spaniard background, but not me. You know, I go hard for my African background. But race and identity you know, is a very, very personal and it's a deep thing, you know, what a person identifies as racially, ethnically, and culturally. That's a very, very personal choice. But now you know some of the reasons why, you know, I identify the way that I do. You know, I love being black. You know, power to the people. I love my blackness. And there was a time in my life where, you know, I was kind of taught to not, you know, to kind of hate it, to kind of, you know, be anti-black. And I'm so glad that, you know, I woke up. I'm so glad that once I researched my history and I researched, you know, the things that happened to our people, that's when I found out the truth. It's very, very important that we become culturally and socially aware, you know, because once we do, we know where we come from, then we can know how to move forward and make moves in the future. All right, so those are my thoughts on tonight. Take care, God bless, and I'll come up with another clip soon. Peace.